everybody, it's Christina from Creations with Christina, and today we're going to be making a card using our Mini Monsters Cricut cartridge and Peachy Keen Monster Mash Face Assortment set along with my Echo Park Happy Halloween pattern paper. And I think I'm going to be brave and even show you some sewing and how I sew my cards. I've never done it before. I'm not very good at it, but we'll try and see what happens. So if we get through halfway this video and you don't see any sewing, well, you know why. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started. The first thing I'm going to do is show you how I set up my image that I'm going to be cutting from the Mini Monsters Cricut cartridge on my Gypsy. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start adding the elements, and I'm going to use my Gypsy for this because I want to hide the face on the image I'm going to be using so I can use my Peachy Keen stamps. What I did was created a template for a 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 card, and I'm going to go ahead and add my elements for my spider, which is the image I'm going to be using, right onto my card. And I've already selected that it's going to be 1.88 inches. I went ahead and pre-decided what I was going to be cutting this at. So, excuse me, I'm going to go ahead and add my layers, and I went ahead and, well, I didn't go ahead. Hold on. Wait a minute. Alright. So, I'm adding my layers that I plan on using, and I'm just going to set them on my mat. So, the next thing I want to do is, I don't want to use the face on my spider because I'm going to be using my Peachy Keen stamps. So, I'm going to the Hide Contour button, which is on the Advanced tab, and I got to hide all of the elements that have to do with the face. We're going to skip that bottom part here. That is my son having a great time in the background. I don't know if you can hear him. It's my happy boy. Okay, so I have everything hidden on the face. So when we zoom in, you'll see those are all grayed out. It's hard to tell probably hard to tell in the video. So, okay, so let me go ahead and cut all this out, and we'll be right back and put our card together. Okay, so I went ahead and cut out my spider, and now what I'm going to do is just go ahead and put it together. The first thing I'm going to do is attach my little bow to my spider's head, and I'm going to be, I use my Zig 2-way glue pen for that, and I'm just going to go ahead and set that right on the top. And then I'll go ahead and add this little, I don't even know what that is, down at the bottom. And then I'm going to take my Peachy Keen stamp, and I just need to clean it off because I was trying to decide if I was going to use my white ink pad or my white embossing powder, and I'm going to go ahead and use my ink pad for this. So I'm just using my Peachy Keen, or not Peachy Keen, Paper Tray ink, Fresh Snow ink. So I'm going to go ahead and ink up my little face and add that right to my project. And I'm a little concerned I'm going to get white on my bow there, so I'm just going to pull that off since it's still wet. Okay, there we go. And then I'll go ahead and add my bow back on. There we go. So there is our little spider. Isn't it adorable? Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is, a lot of you ask what paper trimmer I use for my, especially with chipboard, because it's so thick and I use medium weight chipboard, but I just wanted to show you my paper trimmer, and I love this paper trimmer. I've had it for probably about a year now. It's an X-Acto paper trimmer. I got it at Staples. I think it's like $30-some. And what I like about it is it has this, so if I'm working on a project like a mini album that I want it 4x6, I just take this little, comes out, and you just set it in and push this dial to the side, and that stays in place. So all you have to do is take your chipboard or your paper or whatever you're using, set it right up against there, and everything you cut will always be that same size. So you always end up with, pages that are the same size. But we're going to go ahead and be making a 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 card. So I'm going to start off with 4 inches by 4 inches, and this will be, let's do our green at 4 inches by 4 inches. And this is a guillotine style paper trimmer. And it's just my favorite paper trimmer. And so that's going to be the front of my card, and I'm going to add, let's see, let's make this about 1.5. No, let's do it 2 inches. No, let's do 1.5. Trying to decide how I'm going to put this on there. So I'm just going to put the paper down at 1.5 inches. Because if I did 2 inches, and maybe I do want 2 inches. All right, let me try that again. Let's cut that at 2 inches instead. So you're going to see my process here and how I figure things out. Yeah, I like 2 inches much better. So let me get my paper trimmer out of the way. And what I'm going to do now, actually, let me trim my base of my card. So let me set that aside and get my paper trimmer back out. And the base of my card is going to be 4 1/4 by 4 1/4, so we're going to trim this at 8 1/2 by 4 1/4. So I just have to cut off 4 1/4, just like that. Now I'll set these aside. And then bring out my score pal to make my score mark at 4 1/4. Fold my card and then use my to make my score mark. There we go. Oops, sorry about all that noise. And now what I'm going to do is just use my ATG gun. So this is my ATG gun, and I'm going to go ahead and just put a little strip of the adhesive on the center or the back of my, I don't want it around the edges because like I said, I am going to take this to my sewing machine and I'm going to create a stitch line going straight across here. So let's go ahead and head over to my sewing machine. So I'm going to go ahead and do my stitching, and I'm going to do a zigzag stitch. So I have black thread loaded into my sewing machine, and I'm doing a really fine, like really tight zigzag stitch. So I'm just going to go ahead and put my paper in and just do this just like you're sewing. The tricky part is going straight. So I went ahead and did my zigzag line. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a straight stitch going around. So I'm just lifting up my foot a little bit on my sewing machine and putting it straight down, change my settings to be a straight stitch, and I'm just going to go ahead and do a stitch right around the entire piece of pattern paper. Okay, as you can see, I added my stitching line. So this is what I do. I don't do any back stitching because I don't like to see the back stitching on my on the front of my card. So what I do is I just go to the back of my paper, pull on the string that's in the back, and you can pull through the other piece. And then what I do is I just tape those down with a little bit of Scotch tape, and then I trim off the tails. So let me just show you that again. So I pull the back stitch and pull through the front stitch. And this way you don't see any back stitching on the front of the card. Alright, so that will be the front of my card. Okay, so I think I'm going to add that straight to my card using my ATG gun. And let's see, when I'm putting on my pattern paper to the front of my card, I find that if I hold my paper up and look at it straight, I can actually center my pattern paper better on the front of my card. So it looks straighter when I do it that way. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add this little piece of ribbon coming down. And I actually, again, I did this once before in another video. I forgot to add my ribbon so it was behind my card. So let me just tape that down so it doesn't move. See if I can get it in there. Alright, there we go. And then that's going to come down the front of my card. And then my little spider is just going to go on the top of that. So I need to trim my ribbon, and then I'm going to add a little strip of my ATG tape going down so my ribbon is flat on my card. And then I just need to find my dimensionals, and then we'll pop that up on, we'll pop our spider up. And I want my spider to have some nice dimension, so I'm going to make it a 2-layer dimension. If you don't have a sewing machine or can't sew, which I really can't sew, but doing straight lines I seem to be okay at, you can always just take a black Sharpie marker and create your own stitch lines. If you're using a lighter paper or darker paper, you can use your white gel pen. So whatever you want to do to create your stitch lines, you can. You could just make faux stitch lines. So, and then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab another piece of this pattern or checkered ribbon. Not checkered, polka dot ribbon. Okay, so I just made my little bow. I'm just trimming the tails. Oops. And then I'll use a glue dot to glue that on. And that's going to go right on the top, just like that. Okay, so there we go. Quick, simple, well, not simple, but a little couple techniques for today. Thanks for watching another episode of Creations with Christine. I'll see you next time. Bye.